Democratic governments. The ease with which democratic governments have given way to authoritarian regimes in one Asian country after another has made many persons ask in despair whether the parliamentary system based on the Western model is suited to underdeveloped countries. People who do not know how to read and write, they argue, can hardly know how to vote. Popular elections often bring incompetent men to the top. They contend, and the division of party spoils and breeds corruption. What is worse, the system of perpetual party welfare obstructs the business of government. They point to the dismal results of the last 10 years. The pace of social and economic change has been far too slow, and the governments in most of the underdeveloped countries have failed to come to grip with the problems which face the people. What they say is no doubt true to some extent. But it is pertinent to remember that every alternative to democracy, while it in no way guarantees greater integrity or efficiency in the administration, lacks even the saving merits of regimes which, based on the suffrage of the people, leave it to the people to find out by trial and error who is their best friend. The people can peacefully get rid of a democratic government which has failed to keep its promise. They can overthrow a dictatorial regime only through a violent revolution. Those who feel sore over the ills from which democratic regimes suffer should be wary. Therefore, suggestions occur which is likely to undermine the democratic structure of the state. The people can at least raise their voice of protest against the injustices of a democratic government. They can only suffer in silence the tyranny of a regime which is responsible to no one but itself. How to measure distances? In order to measure distances, the surveyor lays out a series of straight lines which he calls survey lines. To do this, he uses his chain and ranging rods. The rods are not unlike broomsticks, only longer, and they are usually colored black and white or red and white so that they can be easily seen. Assuming that the surveyor wished to measure the distance between x and y, he would place a rod at x while his assistant would walk towards y. The surveyor would stand 2 or 3 yards behind x, keeping x and y in line. His assistant would then place one or more rods at intervals and in the same line, the surveyor guiding him as to whether or not all rods were in line. Banning smoking in workplace. Banning smoking in the workplace may not be a good idea because smokers may work better if they can smoke. However, passive smoking can cause objections from colleagues. Although such bans may reduce freedom, It is widely accepted that businesses have the right to regulate staff activities. Governments too may ban smoking in public places, which may be beneficial since it reduces the costs of smoking to society, such as littering and healthcare. However, smoking in public may also bring some benefits to society, such as in tax revenue and, of course, the pleasure of smokers. Also, pressure groups such as tobacco companies may discourage restrictions on smoking. As for freedom, in all societies, the government has the right to regulate citizens' activities. It is therefore possible that as more citizens come to believe that the disadvantages of allowing smoking outweigh the advantages, they would increasingly support such bans. As a non smoker, I believe that restricting smoking at workplaces and in public is a good idea. I can also understand the opinion of smokers that banning smoking in such places limits their freedom. However, if the effects of smoking were limited to smokers, I would oppose bans. But as smoking affects the health of others, I support them.